Well, hey everybody, Peter Gadd here. I'm here as always with Kristen and we're here to give an update on EastLake and what our plans are for 2023. And why, you might be asking, why are you giving an update? Because EastLake is changing. Again, as always, we have, if you have followed along EastLake for any length of time, you know that EastLake has changed. We have a long history of evolving. EastLake has always been an experiment. I feel like that's kind of built into our DNA. We've changed locations, we've added campuses, we've shut down campuses, we've done live teaching and video teaching. We even tried hologram teaching for like 11 seconds before we realized how terrible that was. We've done short-term groups and long-term groups, you name it. Eastlake has tried it. And historically, Eastlake really hasn't looked that much different from churches. Yes, we would say things that weren't that churchy. We would often say things that weren't very religious. But if you like plug your ears and you attended an Eastlake event, you would see Sunday services and groups and messages in a kids program. But as all of us know, in 2019, March, that stopped, that changed.
Yeah, I think what we've kind of seen is that since March of 2020, I think it was, it's kind of a warp zone.
Yeah.
We've been.
Oh, I said 2019.
Yeah, you said 2019.
I can't even keep my dates straight.
It's all been a really dark hole of
Yeah, exactly.
time. But we've been in a bit of hibernation, I would say. Yeah. We've been, just kind of holding ground, offering online content and a few events here and there, but we definitely didn't sprint back to our old church model. And really, COVID in many ways created a natural pause for us to talk about things that we had already been talking about before COVID hit, which was what is the best kind of church model for Eastlake and for Eastlake's crowd? What's sustainable and what makes sense moving forward? As we've said before, we were having these conversations before COVID. And kind of our update is that we've landed kind of on here's what we're going to do moving forward. A big takeaway that we've had from discussions with ourselves and with Eastlakers and just honestly with church people in general is that the majority of people, kind of what we found is that people want the stuff that church provides, but they're not really interested in going back to the model before of giving up their weekends and attending an event on a regular basis. People want access to content, they want access to inspiration and a community of people that is like-minded, but can't really commit to regular Sunday attendance or honestly to donating an amount that would make that even possible and sustainable.
Totally. Yeah, it feels like not only is that something we've experienced, you and I, where we're wrestling with, I really like my weekends. Like as we've had these conversations, people like all Eastlake alumni, church people in general are like, I'm not sure the Sunday gathering makes a ton of sense for me, but I still want to stay connected to some kind of community. So with that said, we are going to change our model again. We are going to change it up a bit. We're not going to go back to weekly Sunday services or the old way that we used to do church, but we are going to keep going. We're still interested in living intentionally. I know for me personally, I still really believe in the values that life is a gift and love is the point. I find that idea inspiring and worth aspiring towards. I still want to live as a beneficial presence in the world. And as we talk with people like you, people who follow along, I know that you still believe those things too and want to live that way in the world. And even as Kristen and I have talked at length over the past couple years, thinking about the next chapter, thinking about what is this? Is this anything? Is Eastlake anything? What is the next chapter if there is a next chapter? And as we've had conversations with you, we keep coming back to how personally, like we need a structure still. Maybe it's not a Sunday morning weekly, 40 times a year, 52 times a year, but we still need a structure. We still need a curriculum or a community that can kind of help us live out these virtues. And so that's what we're going to try to facilitate in 2023. We're going to continue offering our online content. We're going to be hosting podcast conversations on meaningful topics to start the year. It might take the whole year, but we're going to focus 2023 on rituals. We already have a couple conversations started when it comes to reclaiming Christian rituals. How do we mark moments? But when I say rituals, like how do we mark moments in a significant way that will help us live each day intentionally and meaningfully? And we're going to be hosting regular events. Sometimes those might just be parties where we can connect with each other, connect with other Eastlakers. Sometimes those are going to be smaller events where we can hopefully kind of curate an opportunity for a smaller group of people to try out a habit or a spiritual practice. And we also think that groups can be part of our future and will continue to be part of our future. We've consistently offered groups throughout the years, and we still can see ourselves maybe opening up an opportunity for a number of people to join a group and to participate in a conversation, to kind of go through the content and have discussion with others. But as we've talked with other people, like a lot of you, maybe you already have your own group of friends. Maybe you have your own community already. And so EastLake can just provide content for that group. I know in a lot of our conversations, people have said, I get together with a group of people regularly, but I wish it could be more intentional. Maybe we could have a more intentional discussion on a semi-regular basis. So we're going to be having obviously topics and podcasts and questions for you to use if it's helpful as you gather with your community to live a little bit more intentionally. So we'll be providing that.
Yeah. So I think to kind of summarize, what we're saying is EastLake's going to keep going. Peter and I still need something to help us. I think EastLake has kind of always been a place where the leadership team has just created the place that they want and need in their life. And that's what we're doing. We've gathered some new people around us to kind of form a leadership team that's going to help us plan for this next year. And we're excited about what we're putting together, this stuff about rituals, the book that we've read that we're excited to share with you, possibly some retreats, groups that are reading this book, and, events where we can practice what we're listening to, and where we can try to learn how to implement these kinds of things in our life. That's what we want to do, is continue to create a place where we can live aspirationally and meaningfully, and also have a little bit of kind of structure and, not the church word accountability, but
we need that. Be challenged.
We need to be challenged and say, like, hey, here's a thought. Here's a thing to read. Here's a thing to listen to. Here's a conversation to have with your friends. Here's a thing to fill out with your spouse. Those are the kinds of things that we're going to be doing because we want to live intentionally. And this is a great community to do that. So we're looking forward to it. We're going to be sending information out about just the different events that we have planned. I hope that you'll follow along, and we hope that you'll join us for the journey that at least is planned for 2023.
Yeah.